Let me ask you something. How many times have you let someone's words, attitude, or behavior shake your peace? How many times have you reacted, argued, or begged for respect you should never have to ask for? What if I told you there's a way to take back your power, to stop letting them control your emotions, to handle anyone who disrespects you without losing your calm, your confidence, or your dignity? Today, I'm going to show you 5 ways to do exactly that, ways that don't depend on them changing, but on you mastering yourself. Staying calm when someone disrespects you is one of the hardest, yet most powerful things you can ever do. It's not about being weak, passive, or pretending that what they said doesn't sting. It's about being in control of your reaction when they're trying to control your emotions. Because here's the truth: disrespect is rarely about you. It's about them needing to feel superior, to get a reaction, to prove something to themselves. And when you stay calm, you deny them that satisfaction. You strip away their power. You make it clear that your peace is not something they can purchase with their attitude. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to snap back, to defend yourself, to show them you're not the one to mess with. That's your ego talking, and your ego always wants the last word. But you're calm. That's your confidence. It speaks louder than anger ever could. Because when you're calm, you're in command. You think clearly, you choose wisely, and you show maturity that's unshakable. The moment you lose your cool, you've handed them control. You're playing their game by their rules. But when you stay calm, you're showing them that you live by your own. Think about it this way. When someone throws fire at you, the last thing you do is pour gasoline on it. You don't have to meet chaos with chaos. You meet it with composure. The more they try to push you, the more you stand still. That stillness is power. It's emotional intelligence in action. Because what they're expecting is a reaction. They want to see you explode, defend, or crumble. And when you don't, it confuses them. It disarms them. They realize their words don't have the weight they thought they did. You've taken away their control, and that's the ultimate win. Calmness is not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. You can feel angry, disappointed, or hurt and still choose not to act from those feelings. That's emotional discipline. Most people think discipline is about what you do, but it's equally about what you don't do, what you refuse to give energy to. Staying calm isn't about bottling up your emotions. It's about choosing to process them privately instead of performing them publicly. Because the moment you perform, you hand them an audience, and they get the show they came for. But when you stay calm, you're saying, "You don't get access to my peace." You'll notice that calmness changes the tone of every interaction. When you respond with a steady voice instead of raised tones, it creates tension, not in you, but in them. Because now they can't control the outcome. They can't pull you into the drama they're used to. They're forced to sit in the silence of their own behavior. That's where people start reflecting, not because you argued, but because you didn't. You didn't feed their disrespect with your attention. You didn't reward their immaturity with your energy. And that silence, that calm, speaks volumes. Here's the thing: your calmness is your credibility. In every situation, whether it's at work, in relationships, or with family, the one who stays calm is the one who holds the authority. People trust calm. They respect calm. Even the person disrespecting you starts realizing they can't shake you. They might not admit it, but they feel it. It's uncomfortable for them when their words don't get the reaction they expect. That's how calmness turns from a reaction into a boundary. It says, "You don't get to pull me out of character." It protects your peace without needing confrontation. When someone disrespects you, staying calm allows you to respond strategically, not emotionally. It gives you the space to think, to decide whether this person even deserves a response. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Silence isn't weakness, it's clarity. It's understanding that not every battle deserves your presence. You don't need to argue with someone whose goal is to provoke. You don't need to explain your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding you. Your calm tells them everything they need to know, that you're not on their level, that your self-respect is non-negotiable, that you've outgrown reactive living. Calmness also keeps you from regretting your words later. Think about the times you lost your temper. How quickly anger made you say something you didn't mean or act in a way that didn't reflect who you are. Disrespect tries to lure you into that trap. It tries to make you abandon your standards just to prove a point. But when you stay calm, you rise above that trap. You keep your dignity intact. You walk away knowing you handled yourself with grace, not guilt. Because no matter what they said or did, you stayed true to you. That's power they can't touch. It takes practice to master this level of composure. It doesn't happen overnight. You'll have moments where you slip, where your emotions get the best of you. That's human. But every time you choose calmness over chaos, you build strength. You start recognizing disrespect as noise, not as truth. You start seeing how your silence unsettles those who depend on your reaction. And you start realizing that calm isn't passive. It's a statement that says, I refuse to let your behavior decide my mood. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. There's also a shift that happens inside you when you consistently choose calm. You start valuing your peace more than your pride. You stop trying to win arguments and start focusing on winning your inner stability. You understand that no one can truly disrespect you unless you let their opinion define you. And the less you react, the less control they have. You begin to see that your response isn't about proving who's right. It's about protecting what's right within you. That's emotional maturity at its finest. The calm approach doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you pick your moments wisely. You respond when it serves your peace, not when it feeds your ego. You can assert boundaries calmly. You can call out disrespect without shouting. You can say, that tone isn't okay, with a voice steady enough to make them listen. Calm doesn't mean quiet, it means measured. It means intentional. And intentional responses always carry more weight than impulsive ones. Staying calm also teaches others how to approach you. When people see that they can't get under your skin, they learn that you're not someone they can manipulate emotionally. It sets a tone for how you expect to be treated, because disrespect often continues where it's tolerated. But calmness, paired with boundaries, stops it before it grows. It shows people that your peace is protected territory and not everyone gets access to it. That's how you train others to meet you at your level of composure. In every situation, remind yourself the goal isn't to be right, it's to stay in control. Because when you control yourself, no one else can control you. The moment you match their disrespect with anger, you've given them power. But when you respond with calmness, you take it back. You stop letting outside behavior dictate your inner state. That's where true strength lies, not in loudness, not in reaction, but in the quiet confidence of knowing you can't be shaken. Setting boundaries is one of the most essential ways to handle people who don't respect you. It's how you teach others what's acceptable and what's not. It's not about controlling them, it's about controlling access to you. Because disrespect thrives in spaces where there are no limits. The moment you make it clear what you will and won't tolerate, you shift the balance of power. People begin to understand that your time, your energy, and your peace are not free for all zones. They have conditions, respect, honesty, and reciprocity. And once those conditions are violated, access changes. That's what boundaries do. They protect yourself, worth without requiring you to fight for it. Most people struggle with setting boundaries because they fear being seen as rude, distant, or unkind. But the truth is, boundaries aren't walls, they're doors. They decide who gets to come in and how long they stay. Without them, you invite chaos. With them, you create peace. When someone disrespects you, it's often because they've learned, consciously or not, that they can. They've learned that you'll forgive it, overlook it, or make excuses for it. But the moment you enforce a boundary, you're teaching them a new lesson that your kindness is not weakness, that your empathy is not a green light for mistreatment. You're not punishing them, you're protecting yourself. Boundaries don't always need to be announced. Sometimes they're felt. It's in the way you stop explaining yourself to people who twist your words. It's in how you stop showing up for those who don't value your presence. It's in how you stop arguing with people who've already made up their minds. Your energy shifts when you have boundaries. You no longer chase understanding or validation from those who refuse to give it. You start realizing that silence, distance, and disinterest are powerful tools of self-respect. Not everyone deserves a conversation. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Some people only understand space, and that's okay. When you set boundaries, you're going to make people uncomfortable, especially those who benefited from your lack of them. They'll call you selfish, difficult, or cold. But remember, boundaries only offend those who were never meant to cross them in the first place. The ones who truly respect you will understand and adjust. The ones who don't will resist, complain, or leave. And that's your filter. Boundaries expose who's for you and who's just for their own comfort. You don't lose people when you set them. You lose the people who were using you. Boundaries are not just verbal, they're behavioral. You don't have to say, "I don't like being disrespected." You show it through your actions. You stop engaging in conversations that drain you. You stop tolerating backhanded comments. You stop letting people talk to you any kind of way just to keep the peace. True peace doesn't come from avoiding conflict. It comes from enforcing standards. The people who value you will adapt to your standards because they care about keeping you in their life. The rest will walk away, and their absence will only make room for better energy. A boundary is also a form of emotional discipline. It requires you to choose yourself even when it's uncomfortable. It's easy to let things slide once, then twice, then a third time until it becomes a pattern. But every time you stay silent about something that bothers you, you're teaching others that your feelings are negotiable. You're telling them, it's okay to treat me this way. And that's how disrespect grows. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you explode when someone crosses a line. It means you calmly and clearly communicate where that line is, and you follow through with consequences when it's crossed. Because a boundary without follow through is just a suggestion. Boundaries also help you conserve energy. The more you define what's okay and what's not, the less time you spend being frustrated by people's behavior. You stop internalizing their actions because you've already decided what you'll accept. You stop trying to fix or change people who consistently show you who they are. Instead, you shift your focus inward on protecting your emotional space. That's when you start feeling lighter, more in control, more confident in how you handle disrespect. Because you realize it's not about changing them, it's about managing you. When you start setting boundaries, it might feel lonely at first. You'll lose people who were comfortable disrespecting you. But what you'll gain is peace, clarity, and self-respect. Things far more valuable than fake connections. Over time, you'll notice that people start treating you differently. Not because they changed, but because you did. You taught them that access to you is earned through respect. And those who can't offer it don't get access at all. That's the quiet strength of boundaries. It's also important to understand that boundaries don't make you heartless. They make you self-aware. You can still care deeply for others while protecting your peace. You can still be kind without being a doormat. You can still be forgiving without being forgetful. Boundaries are not about punishing others for their behavior. They're about honoring your needs, values, and limits. When someone disrespects you, they're showing you what they think of your limits. When you enforce a boundary, you're showing them what you think of yourself. And that reflection is everything. Setting boundaries takes courage. It requires you to risk being misunderstood for the sake of being respected. It asks you to step away from people who drain you, even if you care about them. It forces you to value your peace over your people-pleasing habits. And that's not easy, especially if you were raised to believe that being liked is more important than being respected. But you'll come to learn that peace doesn't come from everyone liking you. It comes from you liking yourself when you look in the mirror, knowing you didn't compromise your worth for anyone's comfort. Boundaries will be tested. People will push them. Some will ignore them altogether. But the key is consistency. The moment you enforce your boundaries with calm confidence, you send a message not just to them, but to yourself. You tell yourself, I matter. My peace matters. My respect matters. And that self-assurance becomes your shield. Over time, it becomes second nature. You no longer have to overthink how to respond to disrespect. Your standards do the talking for you. Boundaries are not the end of connection. They're the beginning of healthy ones. When people know where you stand, they know how to treat you. They know what's acceptable and what's not. It creates respect, not resentment. Because real respect doesn't come from fear. It comes from clarity. When you're clear about your limits, you give others the choice: honor them or lose access. And either outcome protects you. In the end, setting boundaries isn't about building walls to keep people out. It's about creating gates that only open for the right ones. It's about saying, I'm available for peace, not drama, for honesty, not manipulation, for respect, not convenience. And when you start living by that standard, you'll notice your world becomes quieter, cleaner, calmer. The people left in it are the ones who truly value you, not for what they can take, but for who you are. Detaching emotionally is one of the most effective ways to handle people who don't respect you, because it frees you from the burden of their behavior. When someone disrespects you, the natural human reaction is to take it personally, to let it sting, and to feel the weight of their words or actions. But the reality is that disrespect says more about them than it does about you. Their comments, attitudes, and behavior are a reflection of their insecurities, their experiences, and their mindset. Once you understand that, you start to see that allowing their disrespect to affect your emotions is giving them power they don't deserve. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or become cold. It means you separate their behavior from your self-worth, refusing to internalize negativity that isn't yours to carry. When you detach emotionally, you create a buffer between their actions and your reactions. You don't react impulsively out of anger or hurt. Instead, you observe, assess, and choose the most effective way to respond, or whether to respond at all. This buffer allows you to maintain clarity and perspective. You begin to see patterns in behavior rather than isolated incidents. You realize that some people consistently act disrespectfully because it's their default mode, not because they have anything personal against you. That understanding reduces emotional volatility and helps you remain calm and composed in situations where others might lose control. Emotional detachment also empowers you to set boundaries without guilt. When you are too emotionally invested in someone's opinion of you, setting limits can feel uncomfortable or selfish. But detachment allows you to separate their validation from your self-esteem. You recognize that you don't need approval to maintain your dignity. Their lack of respect does not diminish your value, and your response to their behavior does not require their permission. You can enforce boundaries with confidence because you understand that the measure of your worth comes from within, not from external acknowledgement. Another benefit of detachment is that it prevents you from escalating conflicts. When people sense that their attempts to provoke you fail, they lose interest. Emotional reactions feed the cycle of disrespect and manipulation. Detachment interrupts that cycle. It sends a subtle, powerful message that you are unaffected by attempts to destabilize you. This not only protects your mental and emotional energy, but also signals to others that your calm and self-respect cannot be undermined. Over time, consistent detachment teaches people how to engage with you respectfully because they learn that emotional manipulation will not yield results. Detaching emotionally requires self-awareness and practice. It starts with recognizing your triggers, understanding which behaviors push your buttons and why. Often, these triggers are linked to past experiences, insecurities, or deeply held beliefs. Once you identify them, you can work on responding rather than reacting. This may involve pausing before replying, taking a deep breath, or removing yourself from a heated situation. It may also involve reframing your perspective, seeing disrespectful behavior as an indication of the other person's struggles rather than a reflection of your value. This mental shift is critical for maintaining emotional distance while still engaging when necessary. Mindfulness and self-reflection are essential tools in emotional detachment. By observing your feelings without judgment, you gain insight into your reactions and develop control over them. You learn to separate your inner state from external chaos. Meditation, journaling, and self-talk can all reinforce this practice, helping you internalize the understanding that you are not responsible for other people's behavior or for correcting their flaws. Instead, your responsibility is to protect your emotional well-being and respond with intention rather than impulse. Detachment also enhances resilience. People who are emotionally detached from disrespect are less likely to carry grudges, resentment, or anger. They are able to recover quickly from negative interactions because they do not personalize every slight. This resilience contributes to mental clarity, better decision-making, and overall emotional health. It also allows you to focus your energy on what truly matters, your goals, relationships that uplift you, and personal growth, rather than wasting it on managing other people's immaturity. Importantly, detachment does not mean ignoring disrespect or allowing people to walk over you. It means addressing situations when necessary, but from a place of control rather than reaction. You can assert yourself, enforce boundaries, or remove yourself from toxic environments without being emotionally consumed by the interaction. This distinction is vital. Detachment is not avoidance. It is strategic engagement from a position of strength. By responding from this position, you maintain your integrity and dignity while neutralizing the negative impact of disrespect. Detaching emotionally also protects your relationships. When you allow emotional reactions to dictate your responses, interactions with others, even those who are respectful, can become tense or strained. By cultivating detachment, you create space for healthier communication. You respond with clarity, patience, and composure, which often de-escalates conflicts and fosters mutual respect. People naturally gravitate toward those who are calm, centered, and emotionally balanced, making detachment a tool for both self-protection and improved social dynamics. Ultimately, emotional detachment is a form of self-mastery. It is the conscious choice to separate your value from someone else's behavior. It is the refusal to let disrespect dictate your mood, confidence, or sense of self. It is the understanding that other people's opinions, actions, and words are not the measure of your worth. By detaching emotionally, you reclaim your power, maintain your peace, and navigate life on your own terms. It allows you to handle disrespect with grace, assertiveness, and intelligence, turning situations that could provoke anger or frustration into opportunities for growth, composure, and empowerment. When practiced consistently, detachment becomes second nature. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop chasing approval and start maintaining alignment with your values. You stop letting others define your mood and start defining it yourself. This shift transforms your interactions, your confidence, and your overall experience of life. Emotional detachment is not indifference. It is discernment. It is the ability to engage with the world fully without being hijacked by the negativity or disrespect of others. Detachment also allows for strategic distance when needed. Not every disrespectful interaction requires confrontation or explanation. Sometimes the most powerful action is simply stepping back, walking away, or disengaging. This doesn't mean you are weak, it means you are wise. You recognize the futility of investing energy in people who are unwilling or incapable of respectful behavior. You conserve your mental and emotional resources for situations and relationships that align with your values. Through detachment, you learn patience and perspective. You see disrespect as temporary, situational, and often a reflection of someone else's challenges rather than your shortcomings. You gain the ability to observe rather than absorb negativity, to respond thoughtfully rather than impulsively, and to maintain control over your emotional state regardless of external circumstances. This skill not only protects you from harm, but also enhances your influence and authority, because people are drawn to those who remain steady under pressure, unshaken by drama, and grounded in their own sense of self-worth. Ultimately, detaching emotionally is a powerful act of self-respect. It is the conscious decision to prioritize your inner peace over external chaos, to refuse to internalize the disrespect of others, and to respond from a place of clarity and control. It empowers you to navigate life with confidence, to handle challenging people effectively, and to maintain your dignity regardless of the behavior directed toward you. Emotional detachment is not withdrawal, it is mastery. It is the key to rising above disrespect while staying fully in command of your own life, energy, and sense of self. Walking away with confidence is one of the most powerful ways to handle people who don't respect you, because it communicates more than words ever could. Often, we feel compelled to argue, explain ourselves, or prove our worth to those who are dismissive, condescending, or hostile. But the truth is, when someone refuses to respect you, engaging with them on their terms usually only drains your energy and prolongs the conflict. Walking away isn't a sign of weakness or avoidance. It's a deliberate act of self-respect. It's a demonstration that your time, energy, and peace are more valuable than winning someone else's approval or proving a point that doesn't matter. Confidence in walking away comes from understanding your worth. When you know who you are, what you stand for, and what you will tolerate, leaving a situation that disrespects those boundaries is natural. You don't need to justify yourself or explain your departure. Your action alone speaks volumes. It says, I will not compromise my peace for someone who cannot honor me. That simple choice asserts control over your life and communicates clearly to the other person that their behavior is unacceptable. It shows that respect is not optional in your presence. It is non-negotiable. Walking away also removes the power that disrespectful people try to hold over you. Many who act disrespectfully rely on eliciting an emotional response. They feed off anger, frustration, or embarrassment. When you walk away calmly and confidently, you deny them that reaction. You deny them the satisfaction of seeing you affected. This shift in power changes the dynamic immediately. It shows that you are not a participant in their drama, and it signals to them, often more effectively than confrontation ever could, that their behavior has no effect on you. Confidence in walking away is rooted in emotional control. It requires resisting the instinct to respond impulsively, argue, or retaliate. It requires patience and self-discipline. You must recognize that not every battle deserves your energy, and not every insult or slight requires a rebuttal. By choosing to step away, you protect your emotional well-being while maintaining your dignity. You walk away because you understand that maintaining your peace is more important than proving someone wrong, winning an argument, or receiving their approval. Walking away also provides clarity. Distance allows you to process situations without the heat of confrontation clouding your judgment. It gives you space to reflect on the interaction, assess whether the person is worth your time, and decide how or if you want to engage in the future. Sometimes, stepping away permanently is the best choice. Other times, it allows you to return to the situation with a clearer mind and more controlled approach. Either way, walking away prioritizes strategic thinking over emotional reaction. The act of walking away can be empowering because it reinforces self-respect. When you leave a disrespectful situation, you demonstrate to yourself, more than anyone else, that you value your own standards and will not compromise them. It cultivates a sense of inner strength, self-assurance, and autonomy. You don't rely on external validation or confrontational approval to define your worth. You define it yourself. This confidence becomes visible to others and sets a tone for how they are allowed to treat you in the future. Walking away also prevents escalation. Many conflicts grow when both parties remain engaged in a cycle of insults, defensiveness, and reaction. By stepping away, you break that cycle. You do not allow tension to spiral out of control. You remove yourself from situations where tempers flare and rational thinking diminishes. In doing so, you not only protect yourself, but also prevent the situation from becoming more toxic than it already is. Your calm departure is a powerful statement that you will not be dragged into unnecessary conflict. Confidence in walking away also teaches others a critical lesson: respect is earned, not demanded. When you disengage from people who disrespect you, they learn, consciously or unconsciously, that your presence and attention are privileges, not rights. Your decision to walk away communicates that disrespect has consequences, and those who value your presence will adjust their behavior accordingly. Over time, this becomes a natural filter, leaving you surrounded by people who honor and appreciate you rather than those who drain or demean you. Walking away requires preparation and practice. It means knowing in advance when you will disengage and trusting yourself to follow through. It means rehearsing the idea that leaving is not failure or surrender, but a proactive choice to protect your well-being. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to recognize situations where walking away is the best strategy. It becomes instinctual, a natural response to disrespect rather than a reaction fueled by emotion. It is also important to walk away gracefully, not with hostility or shame. The confidence comes from composure, not anger. A calm, assured exit communicates strength far more than a dramatic or angry departure. People notice when someone leaves with dignity and self-respect. Your walk becomes a statement, a visible demonstration that you are not dependent on their approval, that you control your own boundaries, and that you prioritize your own peace above any attempt to prove yourself to them. Walking away does not mean burning bridges unnecessarily. It is a strategic choice, not a permanent declaration in all cases. Sometimes walking away is temporary, giving both parties space to cool down. Other times, it is permanent, signaling that ongoing disrespect will not be tolerated. In either case, it demonstrates clarity, self-respect, and an unwillingness to compromise your peace for someone else's immaturity. It is a tool of empowerment, not of avoidance. Ultimately, walking away with confidence is about reclaiming control. It is about understanding that your life, your energy, and your peace are yours to protect. It is about refusing to allow others' disrespect to dictate your emotional state. By walking away, you preserve your dignity, maintain your power, and reinforce your self-worth. It is a statement to the world and to yourself that you are a person who commands respect not by confrontation, but by the quiet, undeniable strength of self-respect. Walking away is a demonstration of mastery, mastery over your emotions, your reactions, and your boundaries. It is the conscious choice to prioritize what matters most: your peace, your dignity, and your inner strength. Every step taken away from disrespect is a step toward empowerment, clarity, and self-respect. Over time, walking away becomes a habit, a principle, and a way of life that ensures you are never controlled by the disrespectful behavior of others, but always guided by your own unwavering standards.